Thank you to all the people who make Tides of Lore possible, but especially Time Lost Crow, High Lord Titan, Mo, Pewter City Gym Leader, Uncle Sam's Eagle, Stonesy, Aurelianus, The Away Fan, Insolent FTW, Bubba BSE, Watto21, Johnny Clash, JT Tech, Niles Sierra, Bagged Milk, Xander Harris, Balzania, Admiral Boreal, Jack the Druid, Leroy Jenkins 92, Bazil, Matt Wheeler, and Terror. And consider joining them as well at patreon.com/tidesoflore. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 82nd episode of Tides of Lore. My name is Robert Silva. I am one half of your host team, joined as always by my good friend Tim. How are you doing this week, Tim?
You know, I'm doing really good, bro. I'm crazy geared on the hunter, dude. If you thought I looked cool before, I don't know if you saw. Did you see the recent picture of how I'm looking?
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like a dark
iron.
iron.
People have seen too. Well, they'll see the last one. They're going to see the updated picture now. But yeah, oh man, you look so good.
And the sword,
probably the coolest looking hardcore character, like ever, and in terms of the ones I've personally seen.
Yeah, I'll I like to get glazed a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. So I'll you know how like an old guy smokes a cigar on his porch looking at his car in the driveway, like a sick car. That's me, but
the Firebird in your
but the new age geek. I will fucking sit back in Stormwind. I'll have my guy mounted up, I'll have my broken tooth, the rare pet, next to me, and I'll just smoke a joint and look at my character. Sometimes I'll get some whispers even. Another guy yesterday, he whispered me, he's like, dude, sick tune, dude. And I was like, thanks. He's like, and it was another hunter. He was level 10. He's like, dude, I want to be like you one day. And we just started chatting.
You will.
So yeah, dude, I've been having so much fun in Classic. My character is pretty cool. I think, yeah, like you said, he's a cool looking guy. So I've been enjoying that.
And you've been doing raids. You've been streaming. You've been seeing these raids.
I need to stream more. I didn't stream when I got that sick. Oh, let's talk about Zinrock, dude. Destroyer of Worlds. What a cool weapon, dude. Is there, off the top of your head, and it's okay if you don't, but why is Zinrock, this two-hander, a destroyer of worlds? Is it just a name? Do you know anything about this weapon?
I don't think it has any particular names, but now you do have me curious. Is Zinrock?
Because I have Zinrock, destroyer of worlds, for my melee, and then for the range, the Gurabashi dwarf destroyer. Like, holy crap, dude.
We said, like our buddy Bub said, we like to think the dwarf destroyer is a title for your dwarf, not
I thought it's like,
your dwarf destroyer.
Oh, I like that. But it sounds like it's a gun to kill my people.
I know.
So,
well, I mean, if you're a dark iron, maybe that is the kind of gun you really like.
Yeah.
Here we go. According to research, this great weapon was one of the many treasures of Hakar the Soul Flare. Hakar was defeated many years ago. The sword was passed through the hands of many powerful warriors and paladins before apparently becoming sundered. Interesting.
So I get the Temu version. It's like broken. Nobody wants it. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I've been doing. What about you, big dog?
As another note, this thing has a TCG card and actually looks pretty cool. So.
Well, and they took it out of the game, and the only way to get it now is archaeology, and I think it looks a little bit different. So it's really cool that I've never been on a character that's actually had this weapon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like it has a another weapon, the Jinrock, the Great Apocalypse.
I've never heard of that.
From ZA.
That's why.
That is, added in ZA.
Does it look cool?
It looks about the same. Yeah, it's a bit more curved, a bit more.
Oh.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool. Artwork's done by Peter Lee. Shouts out one of the fucking goats of.
Yeah, it's a
Warcraft
beautiful
artwork.
Looking sword.
But yeah, you've been doing that. How's the Final Fantasy 14?
Oh,
going?
It's fun, man. Yeah, I've been really enjoying that, playing that with my homie Jake. Sometimes Bub will get on. I heal in that. I really like healing in that game because you actually are supposed to do a lot of damage because you're not always healing. So it's like a weave. It's like, okay, you know, I get everyone up, put shields on them so they don't take damage for a little bit. Then I have some time to heal, or sorry, some time to damage. And then I do a bunch of damage, and then okay, shields are broken, go back to healing. So I like it. It's a good, it's an interesting pace of a game.
Nice change of pace.
Yeah, but the story, it's sometimes great, sometimes I'm like, I don't care. But I've been trying to do better of indulging in the story because that's its strength. But yeah, I've been having fun with Final Fantasy. I'll play later tonight, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I myself have been fuck man, what have I been doing? The Steam Summer Sale has been going on, so I'm not gonna lie, I've been picking up a bunch of random fucking games for like $2 and shit like that. But mostly I've been playing 2 games. I've been playing Holdfast Nations at War. Y'all have heard me mention this game a bit before. It is a Napoleonic era fucking just 150 player battle game where you're firing muskets at each other and screaming at each other in VoIP chat. It is a hilarious time. And they recently added a American Revolution on the 4th of July mode. So
Oh
yeah, it was so I gotta be nice and patriotic this 4th of July is.
That's about as patriotic as you can do.
Exactly. So that's been a lot of fun. And then, you know, on the opposite side, I've been playing a lot of Payday 2 once again. Payday 2 is one of my favorite just I don't even know how to describe it. Random bullshit games that you can just log into with some friends, have some random fun times, whether you're playing the stealth or whether you're doing fucking going loud, which I've been doing, and just going through all the weapons that I've acquired over the years in that game, trying to find fun builds and stuff. So I've been playing that a lot, just having a good time. But mostly still working on the podcast stuff, mostly getting that project ready that I was talking about, that I've been talking about, that I will continue to be talking about until you guys get to see it. I'll just keep having to edge you just a little bit. But honestly, outside of that, I'm trying to think, not too much. Mostly been watching TV shows and stuff like that. House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones series, has come back within the last 3 weeks. And look, I know there's a handful of people that weren't too impressed with the second season. I am just adoring this third season. This third season has been so good in my opinion, and I think that the pacing of the second season was worth it to get to this point, even if, to my understanding, the SAG writer's strike is what ultimately ended up causing like some issues with getting certain episodes that they might have wanted in season 2 out in time. So yeah, but I've just been loving that series, been loving getting fantasy stuff. Oh, also we've been having a monthly, or like a month-long little challenge, I guess you would call it, just community event over in our Discord, where I've been asking each day for different types of songs. Let me actually pull up the announcement so I have a better idea of how to talk about this. But yeah, we just go through on the Discord each day in the month of July, post a new daily subject in the art and music channel, and then we have everyone share their choices about why they picked it. Like, what song feels like your main theme? What song has stuck with you from a piece of entertainment, like a movie? Like, what song do you associate with a specific character? And yeah, that's just been an awesome time. It's been really cool to get to see everyone's different tastes in music and everyone's stories about how this music has affected them. So hey, if you want to join us, that's going to be going on all the rest of the month long, so continue to hop in the Discord and check that out. And we're probably going to have another one, maybe not next month, but definitely been having enough fun with it that I would love to run this back again. So
I love that, man. I love that. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. I need to start posting.
Hey, see, I thought Bub would be on this, but Bub's been missing, MIA. So regardless, yeah, shouts out to everyone who's participated in that. Looking forward to doing more of that. And I think that's all I got to really talk about last week. So last week in the podcast, we ended up discussing the rise of the Zandalari patch of the Cataclysm expansion, as well as a little bit about some of the other raids that we had yet to discuss kind of happening. Tim, what do you remember about last week?
Big troll episode. Wait, this was a patch in Cata? I don't remember trolls in Cata.
Yep. It was the 4.1 patch, which technically, if we were putting it in our timeline, 100%, we put it a little bit out of order because this story that we're about to write or talk about today, the Twilight of the Aspects, comes before. It's just, it wasn't worth it to break into pieces like that because we're going to move straight into the grander end of the Cataclysm storyline with this story. So,
but in Cata, I don't remember doing anything with trolls. Maybe I mean, I didn't play Cata as much. I didn't like it when it was current. So I did quit, but I don't remember doing anything with trolls.
Outside of the trailer that we get, which is the one that you have that Zul Jin scene from, where he's like, if it's word that you're bringing, then I stand against you. I stand with the Horde. As well as that is when you get the revamped Zulaman and the revamped ZG, and they remove the original Amani Warbear and all that.
I do remember that. Okay, so that's how. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
So it wasn't really too big of a storyline. It did involve Vol'jin kind of leading the charge against these Zandalari, so I love Vol'jin. Got to talk about it whenever he's doing cool shit. So, it is a bit of a minor storyline, and we did talk about a little bit of it while we were talking through some of the questing zones. But yeah, that is mostly what they get up to. They don't have any newer stuff outside of the revamp, really.
Gotcha. But I remember a prophet seeing the cataclysm, about to happen. They tell what Zol probably, right?
Oh, they tell what's his face, Rastakhan, the king of Zandalar. Yep.
Rastakhan. Oh, is Zol his like right hand man or something?
He's like his advisor.
Okay.
He tries not to take as much advice from him as the Zul would want, apparently. But yeah, he is.
Whispering in his ear, trying to tell him what to do next. And then they found that out. They're like, well, you know what we need to do? We need to get the boys back together, because we're stronger together, right? But we don't like that. So we catch wind of that, and we gotta, go kill some trolls like we normally do. Gotta put them in their place.
Gotta get back to it. Back to our roots.
Honestly, I love killing trolls, dude. I've said it in many episodes. I just got done killing some trolls this morning, doing a raid in hardcore. I love their loot. Their loot is so good. Zinrock.
They collect such good items
for
me.
To steal from them. They do the stealing for us, and then we feel okay stealing it from them,
We're like the British Museum.
Exactly. And it is on display on my back. You can come see it.
Oh, no, it's not on display. It's, as a matter of fact, you guys will never see it again.
But yeah, so big troll. Big troll.
Yep, big troll episode. We did also, like I mentioned, talk about some of the raids that we didn't, one of the raids we didn't cover, as well as one of the dungeons we talked about. Blackrock Descent, which was mostly just a tunnel system that had a bunch of annoying Twilight's Hammer in it that we dealt with, as well as we talked about the kind of updated Blackwing layer or expanded Blackwing layer, Blackwing Descent, with the return of Nefarian and the return of Onyxia and kind of his dark experiments that were originally began back during Classic and Vanilla, and now he's been resurrected through this mysterious purple fire that we'll talk more about the purple fire that resurrected them. I know I've complained about it. I know it has a bit of story. It just doesn't play into it now. We'll get to the Zeralek Caverns when they actually expand the Shadow Flame story a little bit more. But yeah, they bring back Nefarian. They bring back Onyxia. Not very long. Well, they get killed once again pretty quickly. And yeah, that is for the most part what we've discussed. But that does leave us now having shattered another one of these empires trying to rise up in the Zandalari, reforming, as well as really smothering out any remaining ashes of Deathwings. Both the Twilight's Hammer cult having killed Cho'Gall and everything. Now we've disassembled pretty much all of their plans. They still got some stuff going on, but they're in a shitty place. And the Black Dragons, just so that we're keeping track, like, they're basically all dead. We got Rathian, who we talked about, but because Rathian exists, even more black dragons are getting killed because he's like, I can't have any more of these fuckers. And even before then, they were already getting killed off. So yeah, at this point, black dragons borderline extinct.
But because we know that there are black dragons, like Abyssian, right? He's technically alive right now, right?
Oh yeah. He's probably having a grand old time over. Well, I don't know if it's a grand old time, but he's having a better time than all of us over in Iron Mountain.
So there's some select ones that are alive, but very few.
And yeah, their storylines will all kind of converge back together once we reach a later point in the story, as well as when we come back towards that Shadow Flame story as well. So I'm excited to get to that. But last week we did also have a poll for you guys where we ended up asking, you have to adopt one WoW creature. Which one are you letting live in your house? And we had a wide selection of commented of pets, creatures from the WoW universe, as well as a few that I added that ended up performing pretty well. So we'll start at the bottom. The handful of ones that just were commented and I thought were interesting. We had mana worms. We had hawkstriders. Shouts out to DCP. We had wyverns. We had harpies, fairy dragons, and night sabers all pulling in about 7% of the vote. And see, all of those, for the most part, make sense to me. Whoever voted for harpy, actually, I know who that was. That was Vlail, you freak ass.
Why the... Whoa, that's... Ugh. Dude, we know what you... I know what you're going to do with that harpy, dude.
I know kind of man
dude,
you
I
are.
Can't believe Fey Dragons was tied for last. That if I was going to pick any of these, Fey Dragon would be it. The other ones, like, could hurt or kill you.
Hurt me.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. Oh, but a Fey Dragon is so dope looking, and they're chill like that, dude. That's a very chill pet to have.
Yeah, surprisingly, most of the higher voted ones were a bit more dangerous, especially this one that did manage to tie with griffins for second place with about 14% of the vote. Devil Sores?
Couldn't even
I put this on here as kind of a throwaway. People want dinosaurs. I can't blame them, but yeah, this is one especially. I'm like, that thing will kill you. Griffins, I did have somebody mention that the utility of a griffin is unmatched. Just think about all of the flight paths pre-established. Like, it's got it just built into the old GPS. You go anyway.
I feel like the upkeep of owning a griffin would be a lot. You got to feed it. Again, you got to house it.
Just how much does a griffin eat? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You need to exercise it, train it to fly to the places you want.
Yes, sir.
Number one's crazy.
But that did leave... Yeah, number one was insane, but I do kind of get it. I guess there are friendly ones, and they're intelligent enough. You surely could teach one to be cool with you. But with 29% of the vote, the most common creature people would be willing to let into their living house today, a Murloc.
Why, dude? I think of the most dangerous places, like especially early on, dude. The Murlocs are crazy. Let's think of the good Murlocs first off that don't try to kill you. I don't think there's many. I think there's the one guy in Borean Tundra, right? But no, that's a guy dressed up as a Murloc, right?
I think so. There is the Murloc King guy. His quest expands over a few expansions, which I think it finally comes to its conclusion in Legion. I think it was even Legion Remix that it actually had its like quest line expanded. The King McGurgler, blah, 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 blah. Dude, I'm never going to remember Murloc's name. But, yeah, I think he was pretty cool. There's a lot more in, like, Hearthstone and stuff like that. There's, like, Shaman Hearthstones and stuff like that. Or Shaman Murlocs and stuff like that. But, yeah, most of the time, they're pretty less than cool. And, again, I just imagine you leave this thing in your house. You're going to walk away for, like, 2 hours, come back, respawn rates are going to be going crazy in your house. Think about how many of them there will be. I don't even know how they reproduce. Maybe they lay eggs. You don't know where you just find a random fucking clutch of Murlocs spawning in your house.
Yeah, I wouldn't be down. Terrible.
Not me. Me personally, I like the idea of a mana worm. Those things just float around.
Cool.
They're pretty. They seemingly don't present any real threat unless you attack them, which I'm not going to be doing. And even then, they're only like level 5 or something, so I'll get it handled. Murlocs, they go up to like level 35 or some shit like that. They're dangerous.
There's higher ones in Dragonflight and in Wrath.
Even better point. But yes, that is all that we do have for you guys from last week. And that's enough yapping from us about our lives and you guys. Let's get in to the Twilight of the Aspects novel, shall we?
Hey, you know how you're always telling people to listen to Tides of Lore?
Of course, I am my own biggest fan.
Well, now it's even easier. We're on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Castbox, Spotify, and YouTube.
So I can tell them, wherever you listen, that they can just hit subscribe or follow.
Exactly. No matter where you are, Azeroth Stories will find you.
And yeah, like I mentioned in the Hyjal episodes, when I was like, yes, Thrall, the world shaman, and we'll get to this story. It's time to get to this story. So, at the Maelstrom, where we last saw Thrall doing really anything of note before that quest line, the ground refuses to behave like ground. It bucks under Thrall's feet, shivering in violent spasms while the sea hammers from every side. There's no battlefield here in the usual sense, no army waiting across the valley or a fortress to storm, no enemy clever enough to hate. Only stone, water, wind, and thunder. And a gathering of shaman trying to convince those wounded elements to remember the idea of peace. Thrall stands among them no longer as Warchief, no longer the voice of the Horde, but as one member of the Earthen Ring. Around him are orcs, tauren, trolls, goblins, dwarfs, draenei, shaman, who have left their own behind, their own duties, because this place demands more than one person's strength. Leading the ritual is Nabundo. Welcome back to the story, Nabundo. Dude, I'm gonna make a little mini bonus episode talking about the Nabundo novel. I've mentioned it before. We gotta talk about it. It's cool enough that it's one of my biggest regrets not getting it at least some time of day during Tides of Lore. Regardless,
let's do it. I need to learn about Nabundo. You say Nabundo, I don't remember Nabundo.
He's the broken shaman that we mainly encountered during the Zanger Marsh, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And ultimately, he is the reason that Draenei can be shaman. Before Nabundo, there was no Draenei shaman. Him becoming a broken, losing connection with the light that the Draenei inherently have is what led him to the path of being a shaman and finding the elements and beginning to try and understand them to a deeper level. And he's the one who convinces Velen to be like, we need to teach more of our people about this.
I think he was more of a gap filler because they're like, all right, we got to give shamans to the alliance, you know? So it had to happen.
Yeah. And well, me personally, I don't really look at Draenei and think about shaman. Just because, to me, their connection with the magics of the world and the light and stuff like that, in terms of a role-playing perspective, just takes so much more precedent. Like, everything in their buildings radiates with Naru energy, radiates with the idea of, light worship and being the most technologically advanced race in Azeroth. And
right, I see dwarf shaman more feasible, right? They're in the mountain, they're talking to the earth. They mine a lot. I get it.
Yep. And Nabundo's voice carries over this crashing water, calling the others to stand straight, to open themselves to their brothers and sisters, to see the spirit of life shining within each of them. The broken shaman has no need for a proud shape to command respect. Thrall sees him clearly, bent by suffering, changed by fell corruption, and still somehow luminous because of what he became after all of that. Beside Thrall stands Aggra. Her hands grip his, strong and certain. She is not delicate comfort. She never has been. Aggra grounds him by refusing to treat him as just a symbol. To her, he is not the former Warchief, not a savior to the people when they needed a story to believe in. He is Goel. The name waits between them before she ever says it. Thrall tries to breathe, in through the nose, out through the mouth, feet against stone, heart reaching outward. Hold Aggra's hand, but do not cling to it. Let the working draw him down beneath panic, beneath memory, beneath part of him that always wants a weapon or a problem simple enough to break through hitting it. But this ritual is going to offer none of that. It asks for stillness. His body, though, it resists. He feels the other shaman reaching towards him, their spirits calmer than the storm around them. But Thrall cannot open the way that he needs to. Something inside him keeps bracing for the impact, keeps mistaking surrender for danger. Then lightning tears the sky white. A scorched chunk of earth crumbles beneath a goblin and a dwarf. Shamans shout. The ritual circle collapses in frantic motion as Nabundo orders everybody back to the shelters. Pull back, pull back. The shaman run for their mounts. Thrall waits long enough to make sure Aggra is airborne before following. Rain strikes hard enough to sting as wind shoves at the wings. The maelstrom below keeps roaring as though it never noticed the ritual at all. Inside their shelter, the storm becomes smaller, but not quieter. Rain beats against the hides. Thrall changes out of soaked robes and keeps his hands busy with the brazier. Aggra watches him and the silence grows teeth. At last, she speaks. Goel. Thrall cuts her off. Say nothing. The words end the conversation, but not the problem. When the storm calms, the shaman gather again. Nabundo tries kindness first. He calls Thrall, my friend, and asks what happened. Rhaegar has less patience. Welcome back to the story, Rhaegar Earthfury, the guy that kidnapped Varian back at the start of his whole storyline. I like mentioning this guy. I don't think he gets enough love. I particularly by Blizzard, I don't think he gets enough love. They bring him back and have him stand here, but he doesn't do too much. Regardless, welcome back, Rhaegar Earthfury. As far less patience, everyone felt the failure. Everyone knew Thrall was the one who had lost focus. Muln Earthfury is steadier, but his words strike deeper because they're not meant to even wound. Thrall is not a novice or some child who stumbled into the ritual beyond his training. The elements once answered him when they had been silent to the orcs for years. Drekthar hailed him as the savior of his people. He belongs here. So why did he break the working? Thrall gives them the answer that asks the least of him. He is tired, the work is demanding, and he has so much on his mind. Rhaegar snarls that everyone here carries those same burdens, and for a moment Thrall almost reaches for the old authority that he held. The posture, the warning, the part of him that expects even friends to remember where that line is. But the Maelstrom isn't Orgrimmar. Muln only wants the truth so that they can help him. Thrall hears it as exposure. He leaves the circle and returns to shelter, angrier with himself than with anyone else. Alone, he can no longer pretend the failure was just something small. He had left the Horde to do this work. He had gone to Nagrand, trained under Gaia, learned from Aggra, and all the ways that she refused to make easy at all. He had returned to Azeroth believing that stepping away from command was the necessary sacrifice. And then he remembers what came of it. Cairne Bloodhoof dying. Garrosh having killed him in ritual combat, the blade having been poisoned by Magatha Grimtotem. The truth of it being complicated, yes, but the guilt, for Thrall, it doesn't care how complicated the truth is. Thrall keeps returning to that last conversation he had with Cairne, to the warning that he didn't want to hear, to the moment that he needed more support than counsel. Aggra enters and refuses to let him retreat into silence this time. She has watched him since Nagrand, first with resentment, and now with love. His body remains strong, but his spirit is beginning to waste away. She tells him he carries a sickness of the soul, and because of it he has no blade or body. He will have no idea how to fight. Then she names his torment, Cairne. Thrall defends himself, saying that he had to leave, that he made the best choice that he could, and Aggra does not argue the entire history of the Horde with him. She presses on that one question, the real one. Why didn't you listen? And Thrall has no reply. Aggra doesn't soften the blow. Maybe Cairne would still have challenged Garrosh. Maybe nothing would have changed. But Thrall would never know, because Cairne is dead, and the chance to truly hear him again is gone forever. The reality of that causes Thrall to stagger, and the argument turns far harsher. But Aggra doesn't back away. Again and again she calls him Goel, and again he resists the name. Not because he hates his parents, not because he denies the frost wolf blood in him, because Goel belongs to a life stolen before he could really even understand it. Thrall is the name history knows, the Warchief, the role people needed. Goel is the person underneath both, and that person has been far easier to avoid than to approach. Aggra reaches for his hand, asking him to stand in the present, instead of behind the next duty, the next crisis, the next burden. But of course, Thrall pulls away. He says, "I am not Goel," and those words hang in the shelter far after the anger he has leaves him. But far to the north, another argument is already gathering beneath a different symbol of unity. We see our scene change to the Wyrmrest Temple, rising from the land of dragonflight, pale and immense against the cold landscape. At its summit hangs the Orb of Unity, a bright emblem of the Wyrmrest Accord. Just so that we're recapping everything properly, because I did not write a note in about this, the Wyrmrest Temple is where the dragonflights meet over in Northrend. I mean,
Yep.
Again, I don't think there are many people who don't know this.
Whoa.
That still watch our content at this point, but for the sake of those people, that's what we're talking about. We at least got one, so I'm trying my best to keep everyone updated. But yes, the temple was built around the idea that the dragonflights could stand together when the world required it. But just having symbols doesn't make trust. The black dragonflight will not come except as an enemy. The bronze flight is seemingly completely absent, lost in its own mysteries of time. The blue flight arrives, but their leader Malygos is gone, still grieving the aspect killed after the Nexus War. The Reds carry the burden of having helped stop him. The Greens are also led by Ysera, now awake from the dream, but a bit stranger. Her warnings of a time approaching, arriving in fragments, or something that no one can easily hold. Alexstrasza comes to this meeting hoping for repair amongst the dragonflights. Alexstrasza, her consort, remains behind in the Ruby Sanctum. He knows his presence would sharpen the old arguments with the Blues, so the Lifebinder goes on to have this without him, leaving him amongst the eggs of her flight, amongst the futures he still believes can be protected. At Wyrmrest, Arygos the Blue Dragon wastes no time in turning grief into accusation. To him, the Red Flight and its allies killed his father. Now expect the Blues to accept peace, as though justice were an inconvenience. Kalecgos tries to answer with restraint. He grieves Malygos too, but he knows that the Blue Dragonflight cannot build its future by pretending that the past was harmless. Arygos wants vindication, and Kalecgos just wants a future for the Blues. Alexstrasza tries to hold the gathering together, but each word tightens the room. The Blues have no aspect at the moment. The Reds are accused of betrayal. The Greens carry dreams that no one else can see. The Bronzes are missing. Ysera speaks softly in one of her first kind of prophecies. The Hour of Twilight is coming. No one knows what to do with the sudden warning, not because they dismiss Ysera entirely. Of course they don't. She's one of the aspects. She's seen far too much to be ignored, but her visions, they're coming like broken glass from a larger window, sharp, reflective, wholly incomplete. The argument staggers on beneath the Orb of Unity. And just so we're clear, I know that when we mentioned the Nexus War, we kind of spoiled that Kalecgos is going to become the blue aspect. This is at a time where he hasn't been yet, but you know where it's going to go. Right now, though, considering there's like 15 blue dragons left, they're still kind of dealing with that.
1 in 15 chance, then.
I like those odds. You like those odds?
Well, more is probably going to die, so.
Until movement appears in the sky above. For one heartbeat, Alexstrasza thinks that the bronze drakes have finally arrived. She sees the color of the wings, and they're not bronze. The Twilight Dragons. They descend before the Accord can recover from itself. Red, blue, green dragons launching into the air together. For a brief span, the battle accomplishes what diplomacy couldn't. They have a common enemy, ruby fire, arcane force, emerald breath, twilight shadow tear through the frozen sky. That's when a figure, the Twilight Father, mocks them from hiding. He speaks of the Twilight Dragons as his children, proud and possessive, letting them die while he stays out of reach. Alexstrasza challenges him to show himself, and he only laughs. But she sees the shape of the attack. The Twilight Dragons are not spreading out. They're not even trying to win cleanly or effectively at all. They're holding the defenders above the temple, keeping their every eye as high up in the sky as possible. And Alexstrasza realizes too late that the real target is below. The explosion beneath Wyrmrest throws the battle into chaos. Force, magic, and smoke roar upward from the sanctums. Dragons cry out, and in that first terrible instant, the loss is still too large to understand entirely. But the meaning of it does arrive. One of the dragons shouts, "Our children," and then the realization that the eggs Alexstrasza had been protecting are gone. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like their MO. I gotta feel bad for Alexstrasza. I mean, I do understand why she really fucking hates these dudes, because it's like, every time I have one of these clutches, you guys be taking it to Grim Batol or fucking stealing it out of the Ruby Sanctum twice now. Like,
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fool me, you're never gonna get fooled again.
J. Cole starts playing. Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice. Yes, the future of the flights has been struck in the place where it's smallest, quietest, and most defenseless. Alexstrasza reaches for Coriolstris through the bond that they have shared through the ages, and she receives no answer. She calls again, deeper this time, past the smoke, the panic, the cold refusal of what she already fears. Still nothing. That's when the evidence is presented. Crassus is dead. Torostraza brings the evidence. A blast bears Coriolstra's mark, not twilight corruption, not the shadowy violence of the attackers above. Living magic, life magic, his magic. The sanctums looked as if they were destroyed from within by the very consort who had stayed behind to protect them. Alexstrasza cannot make the thought fit inside of her, but Arygos the Blue can. He seizes on the evidence as if grief has finally handed him proof. Crassus has opposed the Blues. Crassus had stood with Alexstrasza after Malygos' death. Now the eggs are dead, and Crassus' magic stains the wound. Kalecgos rejects that conclusion. Even with the evidence before him, he cannot believe Crassus. He cannot believe the Crassus he knew would commit this act. Arygos sneers that perhaps madness is not limited to just the aspects. I mean, that's a lot of shit to be talking for a blue dragon. Like, y'all went fucking crazy too a lot of the times.
Yeah, the blue and the black are probably every parent's got a favorite,
Well,
and
like,
the blue and the black are like the worst of the bunch, right?
and the problem children.
Yeah, exactly.
Something inside Alexstrasza gives way, though. She screams, not a command, not a roar for battle, but the sound of a queen losing a mate, losing children, losing hope and trust. She launches herself at the Orb of Unity. Her horns strike the symbol above Wyrmrest, and it shatters into glittering fragments that fall like bright rain over the dragons below. No speech could have said it better. The Wyrmrest Accord is broken. Alexstrasza flees the temple. Ysera, Kalecgos, and Torgosa follow, but she lashes out just enough to force them back. Ysera returns to Wyrmrest alone. Dragons are leaving in fury and grief. Bodies lie scattered across the snow. Red, blue, green twilight. The temple is still standing, but the thing it represented is cracked from beneath it. Then Ysera notices life. Small green shoots pushing through the snow near the blast. Coriolstra's magic seeping upward, vital and wrong against the massacre around it. The evidence says betrayal, but the life in the snow whispers that the evidence is not the whole truth. And somewhere beyond the smoke of Wyrmrest, beyond the shattered symbol of the Accord, Ysera's thought turns towards the orc at the Maelstrom, the shaman who cannot yet answer to Goel, but maybe the only mortal strange enough, wounded enough, and connected enough to follow where the dragons can no longer see. Cutting back to Thrall, we see a restless night. Thrall cannot sleep. Aggra rests beside him, but peace does not come simply because the body lies still. The shelter is dark. The storm has quieted for the moment. Outside, the Maelstrom mutters to itself, stone and water grinding together in the night. Thrall rises, dresses, and steps outside. Above him, the stars look almost offensive in their calmness. The moon hangs untouched, the white lady and the blue child, keeping their pale watch over a world that has forgotten how to be steady. Thrall walks without destination, hoping motion will do what stillness refused to do. But it doesn't. The words from Aggra remain with him, and so does Rhaegar's accusation and Muln's measured disappointment. Worst of all of it, the name he rejected. Goel, son of Durotan and Draka. A name meant to belong to him, and yet somehow harder to bear than his titles given to him by strangers. And he asks, what is wrong with me?
Hey, you know how you're always telling people to listen to Tides of Lore?
Of course, I am my own biggest fan.
Well, now it's even easier. We're on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Castbox, Spotify, and YouTube.
So I can tell them, wherever you listen, that they can just hit subscribe or follow?
Exactly. No matter where you are, Azeroth Stories will find you.
The answer, surprisingly, comes from the darkness. Ysera is waiting nearby, not as the green aspect in full draconic glory, but cloaked, half hidden, her presence softened into something almost mortal. There is still something in her voice that does not quite belong in the waking world, and she tells him that she has come for him. Thrall has spent enough of his life being summoned by people who need something that he should be used to this, but the timing is cruel. He failed before the Earthen Ring. He has just failed before Aggra, and the last thing he wants is another great power appearing in the night with another burden to place into his hands. But Ysera does anyway. The dragonflights are in crisis. Wyrmrest has been attacked. The sanctums have been destroyed. Alexstrasza has fled in grief. The Accord is bleeding trust from every wound, and the one aspect whose gifts might help to make sense of a shattered timeline is missing. Of course, they're talking about the aspect Nozdormu, who failed to attend, the timeless one, aspect of time, the dragon who should be able to look across paths, possibilities, causes hidden from others, the one who might be able to help uncover what really did happen beneath Wyrmrest. Ysera cannot simply find him. The Bronze Flight is tangled in its own battles. Timeways have been, really unstable since Nozdormu's last been seen, and the Hour of Twilight that Twilight cultist and Ysera herself mentions presses ever closer. The dragons who should be standing together are scattered by grief, suspicion, and absence. So Ysera asks Thrall to go where she cannot. She asks him to find Nozdormu. Thrall's response is not heroism, it is resistance. Not cowardice, but exhaustion. Edged with pride, he came to the Maelstrom to serve the elements. His work here is totally unfinished. He has already failed once, and now Ysera wants him to abandon the circle that clearly still needs him. But the deeper objection is harder to say out loud. Why him? He's no aspect, no dragon, no bronze-touched watcher of time. He's a shaman who cannot hold his own part in this circle long enough to keep the earth calm. Ysera doesn't have the kind of answer that would satisfy a battlefield commander. She speaks like someone reading scattered pieces from a dream and trusting the shape that they suggest. Thrall matters. She does not fully know why, only that the path requires him. For once, Thrall is too tired to pretend certainty. He can only stand under the cold light and understand that two wounded worlds have found each other. The world beneath the Maelstrom and the world of the dragonflights. By morning, he has his answer. I will go. Ysera is gone when he emerges, and that irritates him before it shames him. Of course, Ysera has other duties. Of course, an aspect doesn't wait politely outside of a hut for one orc to finish deciding whether destiny has inconvenienced him too much. She has left him direction, not comfort. And that direction leads him back to Kalimdor, to Feralis, Dreamer's Rest. The journey from the Maelstrom to Feralis is long enough for resentment to become something less useful. Wyvern, ship, wolf, humid air replacing salt wind, dense green pressing in around him. Snow Song carries him through. Just so we're clear, Snow Song is Thrall's wolf. I think this is like the first time they actually officially name his frost wolf, but yeah, Snow Song.
Didn't know that.
Yep. Carries him through the overgrown road beneath the shadow of the twin colossals, the two towering mountain peaks that define Feralis. When Thrall smells smoke, whatever frustration he had carried towards Ysera disappears at once. He sees it, Dreamer's Rest, burning. At first, the place unsettles him for reasons that had nothing to do with the fire. I mean, this is Night Elven ruins, moonwells, owl carvings, pavilions, and his old instincts are quick to rise under those settings. Thrall has been imprisoned by the Alliance before, shipped like cargo, saved only by the strange mercy of unlikely allies. Ysera had said druids, but she had not mentioned that they might look at him and see an enemy before they saw a messenger. But the flames leave little room for politics. The fire is too close, the druids are too few, and the ancients nearby are too vulnerable, rooted in place while destruction creeps towards them branch by branch. So Thrall acts. He calls to the elements, and this time his work comes cleaner. Not easy or effortless, but there is no circle watching him, no ritual demanding surrender before a crowd of people who know him as a legend. There's only fire where it shouldn't be, living wood that needs protection, the people who will die if he spends too long asking what this means about his identity. Water answers, earth answers, wind shifts. The fire is beaten back, not by the Warchief's command, but by the shaman doing what's needed. And that matters more to Thrall than he's really ready to admit. The druids of Dreamer's Rest do not greet him with open arms. They see only an orc. Some remember too much blood between their people and his, but Teleron, the leader there, listens. The green dragon, Desharin, disguised at first amongst the druids, reveals the larger purpose. Ysera sent Thrall to them because they can help him reach the Caverns of Time. I feel like if that's where you wanted him to go, you sent him the wrong way. It's not like it's a mystery where the Caverns of Time is.
Well, is it? And it's not locked off anymore, right? It's just, yeah, it's just in Daenerys,
as far as I'm aware. Yeah, you just should have gone south as soon as you hit the boat. Yeah,
it was originally locked off, but it's not locked off anymore.
But before he leaves, the ancients offer him a gift, an acorn, small enough to fit into his palm, easy to overlook if one doesn't understand what it carries. Desharin explains that it holds the knowledge of its parent tree. And that tree's parent, and back through the memory older than all the kingdoms. Thrall is to plant it where it seems right for it to grow. The living thing placed in his keeping, not as a weapon or a title, not as proof as he once was, just a seed, a future that does not demand immediate command. Desharin takes dragon form for the journey south. Thrall has flown before, but riding a dragon is different from riding a beast with wings. There is power beneath him. He does not strain against the air so much as he belongs to it. Desharin bears him swiftly as they fly. Thrall asks what he can in this time about the aspects, about the dragons, and about the old truths mortals only really half understand. Desharin speaks of Ysera with devotion, not fear, but undying love. The green flight serves her because she is their aspect, yes, but also because her heart has earned that loyalty. Thrall hears it and cannot help but to think of the Horde, of the kind of loyalty he once inspired, of whether he recognized its cost clearly enough when he had held it. But then the desert opens up beneath him. Daenerys, the bronze sand, heat, as they approach Caverns of Time. Nozdormu's domain should feel like order, if any place tied to time can. Instead, something is, well, very wrong the moment they arrive. Bronze dragons moving with urgency, the timeways around them churn where they should not really be churning. Possibilities bleeding at the edges of these timelines. The air itself seems full of unfinished decisions. The Bronze Flight is fighting a war most mortals do not even understand. Not over land, over history. Thrall is given the shape of this crisis. The timeways are being attacked, altered, wounded. Some moments are shifting away from what they must be. Nozdormu is missing inside the chaos he was meant to command. But then comes the attack. A human warrior appears, armored, dangerous, and violently out of place. His sword carries magic. His strength is too great to dismiss, and his hatred is immediate. He knows Thrall, and he wants him dead. Desharin moves to protect him. The fight is brutal, confusing, and fast as Thrall reaches for the Doomhammer. The human drives back at him with force that should not belong to any ordinary attacker. Bronze dragons descend into the chaos, shouting that they will handle the intruder. Thrall's task is not to win the fight. His task is to find Nozdormu. A bronze dragon snatches him up with one great claw and throws him towards a timeway. Not gently. Thrall barely has time to breathe before the portal takes him in, the sand vanishing beneath his feet, grass replacing it as the scent of pine fills the air. He looks up and sees night closing in around him in the way that his body recognizes. In this place, he recognizes it before his mind can accept it. Hillsbrad, the land of his childhood. Not the childhood he lived. He hears orc voices and hides. Black rock banners move through the trees. For a moment, his heart reaches towards an impossible hope. Orgrim Doomhammer, the Black Rock who had redeemed the clan in Thrall's eyes, the Warchief who would one day help to shape his own fate. And then he overhears enough to understand the wound. Durotan and Draka are here, alive. They have warned Orgrim of Gul'dan's treachery. Orgrim believes them. He promises them safety. He promises them that when the time is right, they will stand together and slay the betrayer. Thrall sees them emerge, his father, powerful and fur-clad, every bit the Frostwolf chieftain Thrall had imagined. His mother beside him, warrior, straight, fierce, alive, carrying an infant in her arms. Thrall knows the child before the thought can form around it. Him. And the world narrows to 3 impossible truths. His parents live. His infant self lives. And if this Timeway remains, that life that made him Thrall will never happen. There is no Durnhold keep here. There is no Blackmoore raising him as a gladiator. There is no Taretha risking everything to help him escape. No Horde remade through the choices of his own. No Orgrimmar, no Warchief Thrall. Perhaps no Goel either. At least not as he's been fighting to understand himself. For one aching heartbeat, that wrongness to him looks like mercy. He could save them, Durotan, Draka, the child, Taretha, maybe even the orcs before decades of camps and chains and demonic ruin take their full shape. He could tear open history and make it kinder. Then he hears another sound in the woods. That same human who had attacked him in the Caverns of Time has followed and entered this fragile moment. Now Thrall understands the cruelty of this trap. If the killer cannot destroy the adult Thrall easily, there is another way to erase him easily. Kill the infant. Thrall moves before grief can paralyze him. No battle cry, no speech, no grand declaration to the parents who cannot know him. He throws himself at the assassin and drives both of them into the stream. Away from Durotan, away from Draka, away from the child who must be found by Blackmoore if history is to become the one that Thrall knows. The fight crashes into cold water and darkness, and nearby Lieutenant Aedelas Blackmoore rides close enough to hear splashing. History, ugly as it is, has arrived just on time. But several days after the Wyrmrest incident, the dragonflights begin doing what wounded families often do. They withdraw from each other. The Reds are shattered. Alexstrasza has vanished into grief, leaving behind the broken sanctum and dead eggs, the impossible stain of Coriolstra's magic on the act. The Greens cannot explain Ysera's vision clearly enough to make them useful, and the Bronze are just in shambles, no aspect in sight. And the Blues, they're dealing with their own problem. They have no leader. So they return to the Nexus, the ancient home of the Blue Dragonflight, where the cold stone and arcane light, a long memory wrapped around the people deciding what to become after Malygos. Kalecgos had come to Wyrmrest hoping that the death of Malygos might somehow be the beginning of healing. Obviously not clean healing or easy, but at the least a chance for the flights to stop circling around those same wounds. Instead, the meeting ended with dead children, a shattered accord, and the symbol of unity lying in pieces across the snow. So now the blue flight has to turn inward, which for blue dragons means it's time for debate, a great deal of debate. They discuss magical protocols, theoretical structures, ancient precedents, possible requirements, celestial alignments, and every other question that can be made complicated enough to delay the one thing they actually need to decide. Who is going to become the next aspect of magic? The moons are moving towards a rare conjunction, the same kind of celestial alignment tied to the legend that created the original aspects. Some Blues believe that this moment may be crucial. Others think that it's simply useful timing. I will say that this part of this book doesn't make a ton of sense, and I think it's because the Rise of the Aspects novel hadn't come out yet, and we know that there is definitely no moon conjunction fucking going on, and it was just Titan Keepers. Anyway.
Moon conjunction?
Celestial alignment, when planets and celestial bodies all line up, it's supposed to be like a...
Gotcha.
You know. Some Blues believe this moment may be crucial, as others think it's simply just useful timing. If the magic of aspecthood can be passed on, perhaps the heavens will open the way. If not, the flight may still gather beneath that sky and choose a leader by will instead of some miracle. Arygos is more than willing to let bloodline do the talking. He is Malygos' son. In his mind, that matters. I'm pretty sure you're all Malygos' son. He's the first he's the first blue dragon. There were fucking 0 of you before this.
Well, Malygos doesn't lay the eggs though, right? He's got a brood mother that does that.
Yeah. I mean, he had like consorts. The dragonflight or the aspects are like the only race species in World of Warcraft we know that are like genuinely openly polyamorous.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the one we know for Malygos, at least in terms of his main prime consort, was what was that? The icy winds of Northrend will shatter your bones. It's an S name.
I know who you're talking about. Sindragosa.
Sindragosa. Yep, there we go. Yeah, Sindragosa being his prime consort that we know of, but she's been dead for thousands of years at this point, so it is hard pressed to know exactly where a bunch of these blue dragons did come from. But I guess I would have just assumed that like Malygos is the daddy, even if they have different moms.
Oh, so Malygos is just doing his thing.
Yeah, he's laying it down.
Gotcha.
Or he was. Now they're vying for who gets to have that spot, which I guess, with that context, adds a bit more understanding for him.
Now I could see why they really want this position.
Kalecgos hears the argument and feels the old irritation rise. Aspecthood was never meant to be some family inheritance. The Titans did not choose a monarchy. They chose guardians. But Arygos has grief behind him, heritage behind him, and enough wounded blues who want the world to narrow again around their own pain. Like he wants something different. He has lived amongst the mortals. He loves them, learned from them. He knows the blue flight's gift is not diminished by contact with these younger races. Magic is not made more sacred by isolation. That thought puts him in the opposite side of Arygos before anyone has even formally chosen sides. So in the Blues debate for the future of the Nexus, Thrall is still trapped inside the past. The stream that swallowed him after the fight does not behave like water. It pulls him down, holds him, and then becomes something stranger. Bronze light glimmers around him, scales flash in the impossible depths. The world around him shifts, and Thrall surfaces somewhere else entirely. This time in Kalimdor. Not the Kalimdor of today, but the shores of where the old Horde first arrived after crossing the sea, thanks to Medivh's warning. Broken ships, wet sand, orcs dragging supplies from the wreckage. A younger version of Thrall standing by answering to the title he has only recently set aside, Warchief. The word reaches him like a hand from another life. He watches himself command the survivors. He hears the reports of damaged ships, missing allies, and remembers the uncertainty of that arrival. The hope and fear of an entire people stepping into a continent they did not at all understand. Then the bronze shimmer appears again. Nozdormu, or the ghost of him at least, keeps pulling Thrall from one meaningful moment to another, not randomly. Each place is tied to the shape of Thrall's life, and that only makes the chase more maddening for him. He came to find the Timeless One, not be dragged through every wound, choice, and turning point that made him who he is. Despite this, the next vision brings him to Medivh. Not the human form Thrall remembers, but as a black bird with red eyes, perched in the grass like an old secret. Medivh speaks in riddles of weaving threads and loose strands. He warns Thrall to be careful of what he is chasing, that this place is full of illusions, and there is only one way to find what he truly seeks. Thrall, though, he's had enough of this. It's been a long-ass day, long-ass month and week before this, all of that. He's seen his parents alive. He's just watched them die again. He has fought an assassin and followed the bronze glimmers through moments that ache to even see. And now a dead prophet in the shape of a bird wants him to think about it. Still, the elements stir inside him with a familiar certainty. Spirits tell him to trust the mage, so he follows. Again and again, Nozdormu appears just out of reach. Each time Thrall moves towards him, the moment changes, the path folds, the past opens, and the chase becomes less like a pursuit and more like a lesson Thrall has not yet learned the words for. By the time he returns to Hillsbrad, he is exhausted. The trees are far older now. The season has changed. Years have passed since he watched Durotan and Draka die. That infant he once saw in his mother's arms should have grown into the child Thrall remembers being. But this isn't his childhood. He makes a small fire and sleeps. He wakes with cold metal pressed against his throat. A woman's voice tells him not to move, rough, hard, worn down by a life that has made gentleness not an option. Thrall obeys, slowly, carefully, till he can turn and see who gave the command. Taretha Foxton.
I thought this was the Taretha who helped him escape the Durnhole Geek.
It is, but we're fucking with timelines. Yes, not the warm girl who slipped notes into books and gave a lonely orc child proof that kindness could survive inside of Durnhold Keep. This Taretha is thin, practical, armed, and bitter. Her hair is cropped short. Her eyes have learned suspicion so well that they reach for it before anything else. She does not know him. Worse, she hates what she thinks he is. I won't miss. The words hurt more in her voice than they would from any enemy. Thrall tries to explain, tells her that he knows her name, her mother, the infant orc Claudia once nursed. He tells her his name is Thrall, but in this Timeway, that only makes things stranger because here, the orc baby died after a few days in Durnhold. Taretha does not believe him that easily. I mean, why would she? In her world, Blackmoore succeeded. He didn't waste his life on drunken failure and broken ambition. He built an army and bent the defeated orcs to his own purpose. He took Lordaeron from King Terenas, turned himself into the center of power in the Eastern Kingdoms. His loyal mage Kel'Thuzad as his advisor. Dalaran still stands, but Kel'Thuzad having long cut ties with them. Arthas lives in Stormwind beside Varian Rin, married to Jaina Proudmoore, with a young child of his own named Uther. No Scourge, no Undercity, no Lich King. And at first glance, it almost sounds far kinder than reality. But Thrall looks closer at it. This world still has Blackmoore sitting where a better man would have sat. It still has orcs hunted for bounty. It still has Taretha, poor, uneducated, hardened into somebody who has never known the quiet courage that saved Thrall's soul in the true timeline. All of this mercy is nothing more than a mask. Thrall tells her about the life she should have had. The books, the notes, the escape, the way that her kindness taught him that humans could be different. He tells her what Blackmoore did to her in his world, because hiding it would just be another kind of theft. And Taretha listens. She asks the questions that breaks the scene wide open. Did I make a difference? Thrall can barely believe that she needs to ask. To him, Taretha is one of the hinges of history. Without her, he might have never become more than Blackmoore's weapon. Without her, he might have never believed that an orc could be more than a monster in humans' eyes. Without her, Jaina Proudmoore might have remained only an enemy across a battlefield instead of somebody he could trust long enough to help save the world. He tells her the truth as simply as he can. You made the difference. And for the moment, the false Timeway Taretha something the true one never did. The knowledge that her life had mattered. And in that moment, reality stutters. Words repeat over and over. The air shifts and the scene begins to loop back on itself as the broken Timeway is fraying around them while they sit beside the fire. Thrall understands the danger of it quickly. This world is not merely wrong, it is unraveling. He needs help. A dragon would be ideal. A dragon who understands time would be even better. But since Nozdormu remains out of reach, Thrall reaches for the next possibility. Crassus. In this Timeway, Alexstrasza still lives openly as a mage of Dalaran. Thrall and Taretha make their way to him. His hatred is using the one thing Thrall still carries from the Dreamer's Rest, an acorn of the ancient. Small, plain, easily mistaken for nothing at all, but when Crassus receives it, he senses what it contains. The memories, the age, the knowledge of all those trees and all their history, the weight of living things that remember far more than any mortals could, and that earns them entry. Crassus listens to the impossible for hours. A different timeline. Ysera's errand. Nozdormu missing. Blackmoore's alive in one world, vanished from another. Thrall pursued by a human assassin wearing pieces of Orgrim Doomhammer's armor, bearing the force of life that should never have existed. Crassus doesn't accept the madness cheaply. But the tale has too many details that an orc slave in this timeline shouldn't know. Thrall knows the dragons. He knows the Timeway. He knows the names, duties, old charges, the secret identity. He knows Crassus more than he appears to be. And the Acorn trusts him. And that matters to Crassus the most. So Crassus helps Thrall think through what has happened. Blackmoore is missing from this altered world. His magical trace cannot be found where it should be. The armor Thrall recognized, the strength of the assassin, the absence of the Timeway, it all points to one answer. Blackmoore has been removed from his own history. He's no longer bound by the life. Someone has taken one of Thrall's greatest enemies, sharpened him into the man he was always wanting to be, and set him loose with a single purpose: kill Thrall. And if Thrall dies where he should not die, the damage may not stop with just one thread of this timeline. It may shear the whole weave. The answer still leaves him trapped. He knows who haunts him now, but not how to reach Nozdormu. He knows the Timeway, but it still needs to be corrected, and correction means allowing horror to return. The plague, Arthas's fall, the destruction of Dalaran, and the one that pains Thrall the most in Taretha's death. A kinder lie has to die so that the harsh truth of reality can live. And Thrall almost buckles under the weight of it. But then those fragments begin coming together. Medivh's warning, Crassus's caution, the glittering scales, the repeated time waves, the way Thrall kept chasing the past as if the right memory would give him the right answer. He's been looking for Nozdormu inside time. But time is the thing that's misleading him. The past is a memory, but the future is what holds possibility. It's the only place anyone can act now. The realization lands with the force of calm, not triumph, not certainty, but calmness in Thrall. Thrall stops chasing the next vision and turns inward on himself, towards the single moment he actually inhabits. He remembers not only the great moments that history names, but the small ones that gave him enough inside to survive all of them. Taretha's first note, campfire laughter after battles, the feel of running as a ghost wolf and the elements answering his call. Aggra's hand in his. The present is not an empty space between these important events. It is where life is received, where the person becomes able to give anything back. And there, in the present, is where he will find Nozdormu, finally waiting. The Timeless One is no longer a flicker on the edge of the stream, or a sunlight on the stand, or bronze scales disappearing into another wound. He is there, present in the Caverns of Time, surrounded by his flight, ancient and almost young all at the same time, humbled by what Thrall has done. Nozdormu had become trapped everywhere and nowhere. Lost in every moment, he had forgotten the lessons of time itself. That even the Timeless One must stand somewhere. With Thrall's help, he brings him back, and Thrall tells him everything. Ysera's visit, the Dreamer's Rest, Desharen's sacrifice, the Acorn, the Timeways, Durotan, Draka, Taretha, Crassus, the assassin, Blackmoore. And Nozdormu listens, and the longer he listens, the heavier the air becomes around him. At last, he names the assassin as an agent of the infinite dragonflight. And then he goes on further. The attack at Wyrmrest, the Emerald Nightmare, the madness of Malygos, Neltharion's fall, and the manipulation of the Timeways, Blackmoore being remade into a weapon. All of this is not standing alone. It's actually connected. The bronze flight falls silent around him. Thrall asks the only question left. To what end? Nozdormu answers plainly. To destroy the aspects and the flights forever. To remove order and stability from the world before the Hour of Twilight arrives. Then his sorrow turns personal. He had been lost in the Timeways because he was searching for the origin of something dark, a future where he himself would become the leader of that infinite dragonflight. A possibility so terrible that he tried to understand it before it could come to pass. And Blackmoore? Thrall asks. Nozdormu cannot look Thrall in the eye when he gives him the answer. I sent him after you. The words do what Blackmoore's sword could not. They stop Thrall cold. The aspect he came to save confesses to sending his greatest enemy through time to murder him. The dragonflights are wounded, the blues are trying to choose a future, Alexstrasza is missing, and the Hour of Twilight is tightening in all around them. Now, even time itself seems to have blood on its hands. But that is where we'll pick up next time.
Dude, this Nozdormu guy is a baddie. Even I knew he had an alternate version of him, but even his normal version is terrible. What the heck? We're trying to go and stop the alternate version of himself from joining the Infinite, but he's just as bad.
I mean, we'll discuss why Nozdormu ultimately makes the decision that he has in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, this storyline, like this timey-wimey stuff, and honestly, this isn't even too much of a original, I guess, storyline. Like we had the manga series where we got to see a lot of Thrall's nightmares, and a lot of it was centered around Blackmoore and Taretha Foxton and stuff like that. And I just I think that this story's a bit overly convoluted at times, unnecessarily. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck, Nozdormu. You couldn't just send a note or some shit being like, this is the situation. No, I'm gonna send your worst enemy after you.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
yes, that is the first half of the Twilight of the Aspects novel. A lot of Thrall trying to figure out who he is as a person, who he wants to be going into the future, kind of the main theme of this novel of who Thrall will be and who he chooses ultimately to be. You know, I mean, I feel like I should say it just because I've glazed Christy Golden in the past. Love her books. Most of them are phenomenal. This one, not my favorite. I already mentioned how it's overly convoluted, but even still, it's not my favorite. I do really like, I mentioned before, I really like how good Christy Golden is as like writing emotion for characters. And when you see Thrall get to see his parents for the first time, for the first time, really, and get to see Taretha Foxton again and stuff like that, like you do really feel the like bittersweet happiness that Thrall has in those moments, and the crushing sadness of realizing that he can't have this and choosing not to have this is well written. But again, just the overall plot of this story, not my favorite.
Well, it's hard to do time shit and make it not convoluted, you know? Not giving her a pass, but I mean, it's just don't do time shit.
I mean, even then, as much as I love Christy Golden, one of her books has to be the worst. So
right,
one out of her own collection, I would say. So, yeah, that's probably where I'm around in this reading, or at least having read this book. So, but that is all that we really got to yap about this week. We had a pretty long episode today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did make it this far, please make sure you drop us a like, a comment, a subscribe, any of those super cool things. The hype button's still there over on YouTube.
Hype that, John.
I know we haven't mentioned it. You got to hit that hype, John. If you're on Spotify, a follow and a rating would be truly awesome. Make sure you fill out those polls as well. If you do want to yap with us a bit more and maybe participate in our song challenge or just our community event, consider joining our Discord and perhaps our guild in retail. And lastly, if you do enjoy what we're doing here and you want to support us even further, consider checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/tidesoflore. But that is all that we got for you guys this week. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this episode. Your guys' support truly means the world to us. If you're interested in hearing more, we have our full show on YouTube and Spotify, new episodes dropping every Tuesday. I also want to take this moment to give a special thank you to Fantasy Lo-Fi for providing the music for this episode. You can find them on YouTube at Fantasy Lo-Fi or on Spotify under Bits and Hits. Be sure to show them some love as their music does truly bring this journey to life. Once again, thank you for joining us on Tides of Lore, and we will see you next week.